Okay, here's another video of the A320 CBT. I just released version 1.1.6 and it's got a bunch of bug fixes and also some new features, which I'll go over right now. So one of the new features is that it will recalculate the turn radius depending on the speed, which you will see happening in a moment as it passes over this waypoint here and the next waypoint becomes active. Then this turn radius will change depending on the speed. The real aircraft does that also, but initially I was not able to make this in the program because of the vector program I am using. Rive did not support it yet, but now it does. So I finally managed to get this to work. So that's one thing. The other one is the program now supports a stall situation. So let's set up and go to an approach. This one here, and set the thrust to idle. Of course, I don't recommend you do this for real, but just for demonstration purposes. Let's climb like this, and speed it up a bit.
Speed.
Initially get the speed warning, that's new. And the autopilot will drop out right there, that's another warning. Now it will go into a stall situation, get alpha floor, stall, not PFD. And also you'll get the GPWS sync rate here, also supported as a new sound. And also glide slope once it goes below the glide slope. So now it's in alpha floor, and once it's out of alpha floor, it will go into toga lock right there. Now, one thing to keep in mind though is that the Neo doesn't have toga lock. It will actually revert to the auto thrust setting before. So if it was off before, it will just turn it off again. Okay, so that's one feature. Let me just go back to the default situation here. So on the note of sounds, so I've already shown that there's the glide slope warning, other GPWS warnings, also some button sounds. Let me just go to another situation here. For example, flap sounds right there, and also gear sounds. It's all pretty basic, but at least it's something. And also there's radio altimeter sounds. So let's go back to the approach here and speed it up a bit. And we get the red alt sounds. So you get 1000, 500, etc., etc. Here it comes.
1000.
Right there. And 100 above, minima, retard, and all that. It's also supported. Okay, let's go back to the default situation here. So what else we have? 2 nil buttons in order to turn the autopilot off instead of before you have to push this button, but that's not the way you should do. So I made a proper button for that. So autopilot off. Right there with the sound again. And by the way, these sounds in the settings you can turn it off. So if you go settings, then app, and you can turn the sound or the sound text off. And also the let's put the autopilot back on. The auto thrust also. So there's a difference in the way it works. So if you turn off the auto thrust here, which you shouldn't do, but it's regarded as a system failure, it will go into toggle lock, and then every 5 seconds you will get a chime right there. The way you should turn off the auto thrust is align the donut with the actual thrust. You can't do that here. I guess I could make that for demonstration purposes, but for now it's not supported. But if you turn off the auto thrust with the proper disconnect button on the side of the thrust lever, then you get a single chime, no thrust lock, but the thrust will go to the donut right there. Okay. So what else is new? I added a aircraft label here, so here you can see which aircraft is currently used. Because before you could only see that in the settings, but now it's a bit more obvious. So this is a A320 CEO. So if you're in the descent like that, if you use a speed brake, you can only use half because the autopilot is on. If you put full, it doesn't do anything unless the autopilot is off. That's for the A320. So if you go to change the aircraft in the FMS right there, for example, 321 Neo, you can see that here. Now it's a 321 Neo. So now if you use speed brake, you can use full speed brake with the autopilot on. Okay, so that's another feature, and that's pretty much all the new features, or the main features anyway. And one thing I do want to mention though is that please don't, well, first of all, don't use this app while you're actually flying. But if you do, which you shouldn't, but if you do, please switch off the sounds, either in the settings here or just using the hardware buttons or in the settings of the iPad or phone itself, because you don't want to get any GPWS or any other warning for that matter in the real aircraft. The sounds are very, very realistic. It's basically the same thing. And if you turn up the volume, you don't want to distract the other pilot, right? You don't want to be in a situation like that. So that is also the reason why I made these audio warnings visible on the screen as text, right? So for example, if I get overspeed warning, let's put flaps here. Okay, so now you see, turn off the sound, and now you see continuous repetitive chime warning because you're in an overspeed situation, right? So, but anyway, you shouldn't use this app while flying. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.